This is Hustle and Pro with Kelly Walker. Join Kelly as she talks sports with players, coaches, organizers, and entrepreneurs from Pee Wee League to Pro. Now here's your host, Kelly Walker.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode of Hustle and Pro. Kaytie Logan is our guest. Hello and welcome, Kaytie.
Hi.
We're going to talk about softball today. Kaytie and Katie's journey as softball into the collegiate level. First, let's go ahead and get to know you with some of our quick hits. So, who is your favorite athlete of all time?
I would probably say Jenny Finch.
Love her. Who's your favorite team of all time?
Probably UT.
Do you have any superstitions with sports?
I did on my shoe. So whenever I hit a home run, I would tie something on my shoe, like a little string, and then the whole season I had it on there because I thought it was good luck.
Probably was. Good. What about the farthest distance you've ever traveled to play sports or to watch sports?
I've traveled to Florida, so like 16 hours, probably the longest.
Okay. Now I'm anxious to learn a little bit about your softball life, but also some other things about you growing up in sports. So tell me about different sports that you might have played as a kid.
So I really loved softball first, but my second love was definitely volleyball. I'm 5'2", for reference, so I'm pretty short. So I was always in the back, the one like diving around. But I played that, and then I played basketball. Was terrible at basketball, but I loved playing it. And then, I just kind of stuck on softball.
At what point was that? Like, how old were you when you stuck on softball?
I started select when I was about 10. So 10U all the way up to college I started playing. And then I played volleyball and basketball throughout middle school, but nothing ever serious. It was just kind of for fun.
Got it. So I love softball too, personally. People that have heard some of the intros to this Hustle and Pro might have heard me talk about that. I just love the game so much. And as a kid, I loved the team camaraderie and just being at practice and the hard work you put in and like everything from uniforms and gear. Like I still use my old glove and all of it. Mm-hmm. And it was a family thing for me. It gave me really good memories with my dad, who was a coach, and my sister, who we always played on the same team together, that I'm super thankful for. So I'm curious about you. Like, what do you love about the game of softball?
You hit pretty much the main points. Pretty much the same for me. So I grew up playing softball every single weekend, always traveling throughout the weeks, doing practices, private lessons. And I think the best thing that I loved was just improving. So each week I felt like I kind of would just get a little better and progress. And then also just being along with the team and the girls. Once you get into that select group and you're with them every single weekend, you kind of get to gain that bond, and the same throughout high school and college.
So you were playing select. So what position did you play?
Catcher.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So only catcher, or would you rotate around?
No, I bounced around. So I did third, short, second, and then catcher. I wasn't fast enough to be outfield.
Okay. Yeah. And so starting select at such a young age, were you traveling? Is this like a travel team to where you're traveling all across different parts of the state?
Yeah, so we would normally, when I was that young, it would just be around local ones, so like Flower Mound, McKinney, Plano, stuff like that. But whenever I got into into the middle school and to high school, I kind of traveled a lot more. So there's like tournaments in Colorado, there's ones in Illinois, there's one in California. So those ones were definitely a lot more serious, but the younger ones, it was just local teams, and we would just play, starting Friday night from 6 o'clock all the way till 10 o'clock, and then playing Saturday throughout the day. And then, of course, if you get in the loser's bracket, then you play all Sunday. So
to try to work your way back up. Off railing here, but who are some of your favorite catchers?
Oh gosh.
Even baseball. I mean, if you have favorite baseball catchers.
I really don't. I don't know the girl's name. I would just always watch her. I'm terrible at people's names. Mm-hmm. But I was always watch the College World Series, and there was one for UT. Again, I've always loved the Longhorns. And she just was a rock star. Like, she would just command the field, infield and outfield. She had so much confidence, and I kind of envied that because I felt like I haven't really gained confidence probably until the last 2 years. And I think I would just wanted to always be that kind of catcher that didn't care what people thought and just said what needed to be done. But just kind of always held back.
And kind of took the reins to lead the team. I don't think people realize how much leadership is involved with being a catcher, right? So talk about that. Like, you're kind of running the pace of the game, right?
You're the quarterback basically for, as if you were football. So, you're talking to the pitcher to make sure she's doing good. You're talking to the first baseman, third baseman to make sure they're covering. You don't really talk to outfield that much, but if you, do a team huddle. But, yeah, it's a lot of pitcher and catcher. I think a lot of people don't realize the communication that goes in between that because I think the catcher just sits back and just takes the sign and, that's it. But it's really not. You have to get that trust of your pitcher so they know that they can throw whatever they need to throw, and you're going to be back there to either stop it or catch it or throw someone out.
Are you calling pitches, or at what age was that dynamic come into play?
It depended on what team I played on, honestly. Okay. So some coaches they preferred to do their calls, and then others they said have at it. So college, they definitely called them. High school, it just depended on the game. They would let me call kind of once in a while. Mm-hmm. We had a freshman pitcher, or my freshman year, she was a senior. She was amazing. Shelby, oh gosh. Her name was Shelby, I can't remember, but she was awesome. And they would let me call pitchers for her, which was so much fun. And then middle school was where I got to call more because normally those pitchers aren't that advanced. So it's kind of curve screw changed fast.
That's so fascinating. Calling the pitches and what's coming next and just all the different things happening on the field that most people, if you're sitting in the stands, you don't know all those things that are going on, that going through your head, from what pitch is coming next to, did you study up a lot on opponent batters and their tendencies and things like that?
College, yes. It was a lot harder in the high school. Well, high school you could, but high school select you could not because you're playing so many different teams. You don't really know, like we would have teams that come from Colorado, that come from California. So you can't really read up on them. The coaches would kind of scout and tell us. But you can actually read a lot if you look at the way they stance, like in the box. That's kind of how I figured out where the hitter was. And also, after one pitch, you can kind of see their swing. And if they have a weakness, you can be like, oh, well, they're obviously dropping their back leg. So not back leg, backhand, so we can throw a rise ball.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so I want to talk about you playing at a D1 level. I know you've mentioned UT a couple of times, but where did you play?
I played at Northwestern State in Louisiana. So it was a small D1 school in Natchitoches, Louisiana, so home of the meat pies.
Home of the meat pies?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm a vegetarian, so I didn't eat them.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that was what they're known for. And Christmas season. They have a big Christmas downtown.
Okay, what is the city again?
Natchitoches.
Natchitoches. Okay, learned something new on here today. So tell me about playing at the D1 level and how that was for you, like the good and the bad of it.
Okay. The good of D1 was you got everything taken care of for you. So you had all of your study material that you needed. You had hours that you could get tutoring for free. They gave you computers. You got all the gear, so you didn't have to buy anything for softball. The bad thing, though, is that they pretty much own you. So from the minute you wake up, it's 5:30 running, and then 6 o'clock weights, and then you go to class normally from 8 to 10. And then since I was a catcher, I also had to do pitching and catching outside of the normal practice. And then I would normally have a 2-hour break, and then I would go to practice from about 4 to 6. And then, of course, you're studying right after that. So it was a very full day. It's different to get used to if you've never been in that kind of realm, but playing select pretty much my whole life, you're kind of used to that, so it's not like it's any shocking of difference.
I've heard that, though, before, that they own you.
They really do.
And and it's kind of I don't know if it's just a Division I thing, but some athletes will choose to maybe to downgrade and go to a different school because they can get more robust college life experience and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Is that something that if you had it to do all over again, would you still go the path that you went, or would you change it up and had a different college experience?
For me, the main point of going to Natchitoches was pretty much a scholarship, so that determined a lot. My parents spent a lot of money on me going throughout middle school, high school, into college, so I kind of felt a little, I don't want to say guilty, but I kind of felt like I had to take the highest number and, to make it worth their while since they spent all this time, money, and energy. Mm-hmm. I did choose that school, but I also really liked it as well. I liked the small town feel, definitely a lot smaller than Frisco. It was an adjustment to get used to. I don't think I would have changed it. I played through sophomore year. So sophomore year at the very end, I kind of decided that, I kind of want to enjoy the actual college experience, get a job, and figure out who the heck I am outside of softball.
Yeah, because that was probably your whole freshman, sophomore year, right?
Yes.
Softball. Mm-hmm. What challenges did you face then through that? I mean, maybe it was injuries. I mean, as a catcher, you're throwing more than almost anybody on the field because even the pitchers switch out.
Yeah.
So what were some of the challenges that you faced?
You're sore every single day. There's not one day that you're not sore. But I think that's pretty much any athlete. It's just kind of what you get used to. But yeah, I definitely had some injuries. Going into senior year, I had to get wrist surgery because I had some random, like, 1 in a million chance that my bone in my left wrist, like where I catch, was too long. So they had to, like, shave it down so that way, because it was catching and, like, sharp pains.
Yeah. And so going into your senior year of high school, you had a surgery?
Yes.
Did it bother you after that, or were you good to go?
No, it was actually pretty much good, shockingly. But and then going into college, I had a lot more arm issues and then knee issues as well. My knees were always really tired.
Do you still play the sport?
I don't. I kind of went in a path where I just didn't want anything to do with softball after I, quit and stuff. Now I'm kind of more up to it. I did do coaching last year and the year before and just like private lessons once in a while. And that was a lot of fun. I think it's cool to, I don't want to say give back because you're just, teaching the kids. But whenever you show them something to do and they can mock you and do the exact same thing and they feel good and confident, I think that's the most rewarding part. So
it's giving back. It's for sure giving back because it's giving back to the kids, but the sport to keep it thriving and introducing new kids to it or making kids better at it.
Yeah.
And get them to love it like you did. So I think it's giving back for sure.
Yeah.
So do you do a little bit of coaching on the side or private lessons kind of still, or are you already done with that?
I haven't done it lately. We've been a lot more busy in our personal lives. But before, the last 2 years, I kind of just once in a while, if a kid asks, like, I love giving catching lessons. That's still like my favorite, just being defense. I didn't love offense. I wasn't that great at offense, but defense was definitely where I succeeded.
Do you still keep up with softball, like watching others, watching college level or here around Frisco or like the national team?
I'll watch a little bit. I love the College World Series. That's mainly where I watch. I think it's not most interesting, but you follow a story, I guess. So it's like the best of the best, play and do a tournament. And then I have a lot of friends actually that are still coaches, so I kind of sometimes go to theirs. But yeah.
Like a local around town?
One of my friends works at Capel. She's an assistant coach there.
So how long have you been out of? How long ago was your sophomore year in college? I mean, you've been out.
I've been out. I graduated like 3-ish, 3.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm way, way older than you. So I always, when I go watch softball now, I think, man, it's changed a lot since my little league softball. Well, in high school and just for fun in college, rec stuff. And now I'm old lady softball player. But I noticed how much it's changed. It just seems it's just
so much faster.
Up a level, intense, so fast. And I don't know. I mean, everything about it seems different. So do you see it changing even from just a few years you've been out of it, if you're still observing it with your friends who coach?
I do. I see the hitting changing a little bit, like the form. I think that always kind of just evolves as the new as the new pitchers learn new pitches. I think you have to kind of adjust your stride and your, swing to that. And I've noticed a lot of like the way they call pitches, I feel like. So a big thing in our college was everyone would pick off our signs. So we had to constantly be changing them out. And now you see kids with those little armbands with numbers and they switch them out halfway through the game. Like, that's just crazy to me. Before, even when I was younger, they didn't have anything like that. It was just, touch my chest, touch my nose, okay, you're bunting,
Old school. Yeah. Like, that's for sure how I remember it. Yeah, the technology and the gear can change that, can really, like, influence the game so much.
Yeah.
Like you said, the armbands and just the different ways of technology of tracking things. Yeah, and the bats. Bats have changed so much and just all the equipment. So it's kind of fascinating to go see these girls play and just how much farther along they've come since back when I
And I think they get more respect now, too.
Good.
In my personal opinion. I feel like before when I would say, I play softball, they're like, the normal general things you hear back from that. But now I feel like, oh, wow, that's awesome. Like, what do you play for? What do you do? Do you have a high reel? Stuff like that. So I think it's that girls have definitely earned the same respect, as guys do in baseball.
Good. They deserve it. I hope so.
Yeah.
It's such a great sport, and it's so different from baseball, yet I love baseball because of it. Obviously, baseball's more accessible, so I watch a lot of baseball on TV, and of course, some of the rules and dimensions are all different of the field, but the gist of it is the same sport, So, so I think softball girls should get all that respect that they deserve. Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. I want to note that I know you through our building here. Our podcast studio is at UNT's Inspire Park building, and you work here, right?
I do, yes.
What do you do here?
So I kind of help on the tenant side. So I help to make sure any space that we're renting out that they're equipped, nothing's wrong maintenance-wise. We just make sure to make your experience officing here the best it can possibly be. And then I also help with events, and then we also host Inspire Frisco events, so I can help run with that.
Awesome. Well, you guys hook us up, and we love our new studio. So thank you for popping in here and joining us and telling us about your softball journey.
Yeah, thanks for having me.